See, under this preemptive and non-preemptive scheduling. So what is the preemptive scheduling? Comes under the preemptive scheduling. There are 4 types of algorithms, up to 2 to 4 types. Okay. So what are all those things? Shortest job first. Okay. Then priority scheduling, round robin scheduling. Okay. Not preemptive, first come first serve, SJF, 8. So 8 minus, again all the other times was same in this problem. So again 0. So what will be the output for this? 8. For P3 process, turnaround time. What is the completion time for this? 16. So 16 minus and again 0. 0. So 16. waiting time